Hello, I'm David Frost, and I want to talk to you for a few minutes about the methodology that we use in the Learning Circles project. As you can see from the screen, I am a co-director of HeartsCam Network, and we've been supporting teachers for over 20 years. I'm also an Emeritus Fellow of Wolfson College, Cambridge, because I was an academic at the University of Cambridge for many years. And you'll see also the link to my blog if you're interested in looking that up to see what I write about. So, the Learning Circles of methodology. The aim of the Learning Circles project is to empower participants, the teachers, so that they become change agents, people who can change things, to enable them to develop and embed formative practice in their schools, and then to share knowledge about that globally. At HeartsCam, we've been developing what we call non-positional teacher leadership for many years. We call it non-positional teacher leadership to distinguish it from the kind of teacher leadership that you see in many places in the world, where particular individuals are given a special responsibility and sometimes a title of teacher leader. So this isn't about people in positions. It's about people who do not necessarily have a position. They don't have to have a position in order to lead change. And we believe strongly in that idea that anybody should be enabled to lead change. Let me tell you about some of the things that underpin that way of thinking. First of all, moral purpose. This is part of the human condition. We believe that the moral purpose that teachers mostly have within them can be drawn upon for the sake of this kind of project, and it can be strengthened through the activity in this project. Moral purpose is linked to human agency, another fundamental aspect of the human condition. We all have human agency. And again, within this project, we can draw upon that, make the best of it, mobilize it. And through working through the project, teachers' agency can be strengthened. Thirdly, the point is that position, power, and authority, you may think are important for leadership, but they are not the most important factor here. What we will show you is that actually what matters is a well-managed process of development. That's what really counts. And I'm sure that school principals will tell you that if you want change to happen in your school, you need to craft that process. You need to develop the art of managing collaborative processes so that change really happens. So the Learning Circle is a crucial vehicle for this. The Learning Circle, which you will facilitate, is a group of volunteers in a safe and protected space where they feel free to talk and to think for themselves. It's a place where they can get mutual support and inspiration. In other words, they give each other support and they inspire each other. It's also a place where they can enjoy mutual critical friendship. Being a critical friend to someone is about being supportive, encouraging, and helpful, but at the same time, being able to challenge them and to say, why do you think that? Have you ever considered this? To argue with them, but in a gentle, friendly way, so that they don't feel threatened, so that they don't feel that they have to defend their position. So in the Learning Circle, the fourth idea here is that individuals can engage in reflection and dialogue with each other, and they can plan to intervene. They can plan their own projects. So the reflection, the dialogue, and the planning takes place because of the other things that have gone before. So let me just say a few things about facilitating within a learning circle, because this is the key to the project, is what the facilitators do with their learning circles. So first of all, creating that safe space, making people feel welcome, making sure the furniture is appropriate. For example, people being in a circle, being able to look at each other, being able to talk directly to each other. That's very important. Making sure that people feel they are able to speak and that things will not be repeated beyond the group. So making sure everybody agrees to keep things confidential. Another key feature is that the facilitators use tools to enable reflection, dialogue and planning. We'll talk a great deal about tools, but tools is a way of making guidance indirect. So instead of the person in the teaching position telling people things directly, they give them something that enables them to talk to each other and to think for themselves and work out for themselves what they should be doing. So it's more empowering by doing that. It's also about providing opportunities for knowledge building, not only through the group, by talking to each other, by building what they know between them, but it's also doing that beyond the group with other learning circles in other schools, exchanging ideas through networking, because our knowledge becomes then shared. It also becomes better because of the to and fro of the dialogue. Another major feature of this way of working is enabling participants to use a portfolio to record participation and the leadership of change. So we don't ask people to do something which is a bit challenging in a sense of writing a paper or writing a report, but just to keep small items of evidence that arise from their activity in leading change and in attending the learning circles. So recording their participation in the learning circle and the projects that they carry out. So if the learning circle is effective, each participant is enabled to engage in a process of change. Begins with their own values and concerns. I know in this project we're all sharing that idea of formative assessment, but that's a very broad idea. Within that, each person can identify something that is important to them and they are concerned about as an individual. But secondly, they can be enabled to collaborate with colleagues outside of the learning circle, colleagues within their schools, to work with those colleagues, to ask those colleagues to work with them, so that the new practices that come out of this actually belong to the school. They are embedded in the school. They're not just belonging to the one teacher, but they become part of the routine way of doing things in the school. So the last point is, this is a slow, incremental, step-by-step process, which is responsive to the particular context. It's got to match the school. And you'll see when we talk about the detail of that step-by-step process, how it can become responsive to the context, how it can fit the context. So here we have the step-by-step process. I'd like you to consider this very carefully, one at a time. First step, enable people to reflect on their values and concerns as an individual. Next, explore the concept of formative assessment. What does it mean? What do we understand by it? And of course, to read something about it. Third, identify as an individual their particular focus for the development work they will lead. Fourth, consult colleagues in the school about their concern. To go and talk to colleagues and say, I think we should work on this. What do you think? Is this a good idea? Are you happy to work with me on this? that sort of thing. 5, to produce a plan, a written action plan for their own project. And this is something the facilitator can help them with, can talk to them about, and give them some feedback about. 6, when they've got the action plan, to consult colleagues about that plan. Go and see colleagues with the plan. Say, do you think this will work? Do you think I can do this in this school? And then, of course, when they discover problems, they can adjust the plan, refine the plan. 7, of course, the main business, leading the project. When you've got a good plan, you've consulted everybody, you can lead the project. 8, we've got to evaluate the project. Each teacher should evaluate their own project. They should learn how to think about the impact of what they do, the quality of that new practice in the classroom. 9, they can share the story of the project. Learning to tell the story is crucial because the point here is to offer people across the world a way of thinking about their practice in relation to formative assessment. And lastly, number 10, to enable them to submit a portfolio of evidence so they can become certificated. They get their certificate when they put forward their portfolio. Okay, so there are the 10 steps, and I think you should talk about these and consider them very carefully. Make sure you understand them.